A little over 100 years ago, one luxury item became all the rage across the US: glow-in-the-dark watches. These flashy new fashion accessories were a huge hit from the moment they hit the market. Applying the special paint to the watches was widely advertised as glamorous work, and hundreds of young women were hired for the coveted new job. It paid well, about 3 times better than the average factory job. It also made the girls quite popular around town. They were listed as artists in the local phone book, and even earned the nickname Ghost Girls because by the end of their shift, they would glow in the dark themselves. It was just about the most luxurious job you could have. At least, so it seemed. You see, all that green glowing paint contained massive amounts of radium. The radioactive element was making the watches glow in the dark, but it was also slowly and silently poisoning the employees. Radium was a newly discovered element at the time, and not nearly enough was known about just how deadly the radiation could be. But we did know it could treat cancer, so people thought of it as a cure-all. It was added to everything from makeup, nightlights, and toys to toothpaste, chocolate, and even water. One of the most popular ways to use radium was to paint it onto items and make them glow, like fancy watches. Applying the paint to tiny little dials on the watch required a delicate touch, nimble hands, and extra pointy brushes. The women were instructed to use their lips to get the bristles wet and pointy, meaning they were consuming trace amounts of toxic radioactive paint with every brush stroke. And it wasn't just tipping their brushes. Most of the women ate lunch at their workstation without washing their hands, and many would paint their nails, teeth, or face with the poisonous paint. Without them knowing, the radiation was penetrating their cells, slowly working its way deep into their bodies, and before long, some of the girls began to show signs that something was wrong. Really wrong. It started with fatigue and toothaches, and before long, the sinister side effects of radium poisoning were becoming undeniable. People weren't calling them Ghost Girls anymore. Now they had a much deadlier nickname, the Radium Girls. They were getting worse and worse by the month, as radiation ravaged them from the inside out. The victims were naturally extremely angry and slapped the factory with dozens of lawsuits, which made front-page news across the country. Their lawsuit went all the way to the Supreme Court, where they ruled in favor of the Radium Girls, paving the way for much stronger laws that still protect people today from overly unsafe working conditions. So if and when you one day decide to join the workforce, rest assured, you might work your fingers to the bone, but they definitely probably won't become radioactive. And if that's not progress, I don't know what is.